Sweaterman.
Excavion.
Alright, so we got another Critc and Optimist coming up. And it is about the levels, interestingly
Indeed.
enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's do this.
Let's review.
Okay, what do you say, pal? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I say you should go first this time.
Shit. This is not going to be easy.
I know. It builds character, pal. It builds character. Everybody's got to have a hard one every now and then.
You're a bastard. Alright, well, obviously this didn't go as well as we anticipated, so I had to find some form of justice somewhere for this map. And upon further inspection, what we got was the multiplayer version.
Mm-hmm.
Which the reviews on the site were about the single-player version.
Indeed.
They were all positive reviews. So
Indeed.
what happened here? Well, I went and searched up this map on YouTube and watched a couple of single-player playthroughs, and it turns out that the map works just fine for single-player. So what I suspect happened was some of the files must have just not moved over when they copied it over to make a multiplayer map. So I do have to give it a little bit of a break there. But in reality it wasn't the single player map that we were playing, so I can't really give it any points there. I can just justify it by saying that the single player map was probably as good as what the reviews were saying.
Right, and just to clarify to those watching, this is a review of the multiplayer map. So if you played the single-player map and you're like, well, I have this stuff that you're not saying is fair or true and blah, blah, well, you know what? We played the multiplayer version. This is the review of the multiplayer version, not the single-player version. So you can just, stuff it.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't give it any points just because the single-player map actually works while the multiplayer one doesn't. Alright,
As for me, the first obvious thing that got me just straight away about this map was the fact the redstone was completely broken, and this is where we think that perhaps when he copied it over, he forgot some files. Actually, we have a new addition to Optimist and the Critc. As you can see, we have a little projector.
Oh yeah.
And a screen. We got an anonymous tip to make our videos a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
So we were like, you know what? That's a good idea. So we decided to provide you with clips from the actual playthrough. For those of you that don't actually want to watch the playthrough, you just want to watch the review, we're going to provide you with clips of those to also help flesh out what we're trying to say.
Yeah, we've got this beautiful new, very expensive dispenser projector.
Yep, bought on eBay. Least $15. Minebay, thank you.
We bought it on Minebay.
Least $15. Very expensive.
Yeah. Well, let's get this right. I was the one that bought it. It was 100 emeralds, okay?
Shh. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to say that.
Anyway, and actually, if you look on the screen now, this is a clip of later on. We were in creative mode, and we wanted to find out what was going on with the redstone. We had to investigate. We had to make sure that it was broken and we weren't doing something wrong. So we just started, fucking around and breaking into shit and trying to find what was wrong. And this is what we found. Just a small example. It's atrocious, really. To be honest, I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't see the connections. I don't know where that leads to that. I don't see it. Maybe it was in the file a file that he forgot to copy over. But it's just, and this occurred everywhere. It was in further rooms that we inspected. It was all over the place, and it just didn't stop. It was there was redstone that was missing from blocks. There were entire blocks that were missing. There was redstone that ran into a wall. That led to nowhere. It was utterly and absolutely confusing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I think for my next point, I'm going to utilize our new, very expensive projector system here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can afford these luxuries in life.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, we're rich here.
Filthy rich. We're rolling in money.
Oh yeah.
In fact, it's in the vault downstairs. Maybe you'll get to see it someday.
Shh.
Right.
Alright, so what I'm going to... let me turn on the projector again here. Alright, what I'm going to say is... Well, the clip is rolling here. The earlier... Before we ran into an entire roadblock, what we played through early on worked very well. It was challenging. It wasn't too difficult, and the design of things were great. Like, the lava bridge was awesome. I mean, it was just a great addition to the level and really creative.
It was creative. It's actually the first time I've ever seen something like that.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it was just a great addition, and, like I said, what worked early on worked well, and it was a good challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to give that one probably a 2 out of 2 for that point.
Right. And for my before point, the redstone broken that completely ruined the map, so I'm gonna have to give that a 2 out of 2 as well. But just to counter your point about the challenges being difficult but still doable in the beginning. If you look at the later portions back before the roadblock, I actually went ahead a little bit, and I didn't bother with the puzzle side because that looked like it was more redstone that would be broken. And I went to the parkour side. There was a split in the road, and they let you choose.
Absolutely.
But even then, in the parkour side, it was ridiculous. Like, there were a few checkpoints, and it was... I'm not going to say impossible, because it wasn't impossible, but it was highly improbable to get that done in any sort of acceptable amount of time.
I know one of the things that we encountered when we looked past the broken area, it was literally parkouring across the tops of cactuses.
With lava beneath.
Yeah.
And so that's not too much of a problem, you know? I mean, it's just frustrating how many times you would have had to do that. And then, even past that, there were several parts, like, in a row, where you were forced to jump around a corner of one block and then latch onto a ladder, which was... I'm doing it in my mind, and it just physically, it doesn't seem like... It's highly unlikely that you'll ever do that. And then as soon as you fail, you drop down through lava into water, you have to climb back up, all the way, you start right back at the beginning. Because the first checkpoint is, miles away. It's just highly frustrating, and I can say that I rage quit. I did. I could not do it. I left. And I can say that's going to be true with most people.
Yeah. I would say so. Alright. So, what are you going to give that one?
I'm going to have to give that a 1 out of 2 and not a 2 out of 2, just because it's... Complaining that something is too hard can be a bit of a bitchy thing to do, but it really was too hard. At least they didn't make it too easy. At least it was technically possible.
Right.
I mean, quoting the old Greek law of physics, given a potentiality and an infinite amount of time, that potential will become actuality. But it was so improbable that you would actually do it, that it was... But I can only give it a 1 out of 2, given the fact that it was possible. I hope at least that King Lao, I think his name was, went back and actually did and succeeded to do his own parkour puzzles. If
Agreed.
not, then you really need to look into your map making, put abilities. It's just... Oh. Anyway, 1 out of 2.
All right. My next point is going to be that what before we hit that roadblock point, I will say that the map had leading up to that point, the map had a good atmosphere. I like how the starting point was, the starting point for the map was, based in the Nether, and it presented you with a really good challenge right then and there. It set the pace for the functioning part of the map. It let you
Mm-hmm.
know that this was not going to be an easy run, and it helped kind of set the mood a little bit. And
Right.
also, that after we climbed that water ladder, that room right there that had all the rules and stuff like that in the background story, that was
Mm-hmm.
also pretty atmospheric because it made you feel like you were in some kind of twisted version of it felt like you were being controlled by an even more twisted version of Gladys from Portal.
Ooh, Gladys meets evil demented demon. I kind of like it, actually.
Exactly. So, but they could have expanded on that atmosphere a little bit more, so I'm going to give that one a 1 out of 2.
Indeed. To be really honest, the it seemed like it was a little bit of cheat off Portal, a little bit.
Agreed.
Like just the little storyline that we actually got through what was possible to do. It seemed like it was a little bit of cheat out of Portal, and also not very fleshed out at all. So the storyline wasn't all that great. But also it wasn't entire in the beginning. We almost hit a roadblock right away.
Yes, we
Um,
did.
Again, I don't know why this keeps happening to us, but the spawn point was not where it was supposed to be. In fact, it was not like in the last one. It was just above the one it was supposed. It was off by 20 or so blocks in the upward direction. This one was like a mile away. We spawned like in the middle of a jungle on like an island somewhere, and we're like, duh, where are we? Is this part of the map? This game, where are we? So we just kind of started flying around, and eventually, after like 5 or 10 minutes of searching, we ran into this. Oh, look, what's that over there? It's like this little dot. And we're like, okay, let's head for it. And it was the start. And that I'm surprised we found it. Really, I am. It was just the distance between where we spawned, where we were supposed to spawn, was big enough that just in your viewing range, you couldn't see it.
Absolutely, yeah. That was a pain.
And I'm gonna have to give that a 2 out of 2, just because it was worse than the one in the cube. The
Yeah,
cube
by
was just
far.
above. We had to break out through again, and it was right there. In this, it was if you went in the wrong direction, you
You
probably
would
never
never
find it.
find it. Alright. I think for my next little point was and this is a very minor thing because this one I had to kind of stretch a little bit, was the addition that you could use the music discs while you're playing through the some of the levels, and they just happen to be a couple of my favorite music discs in the game. It's a very
Yeah,
small point, but like I said, I had to kind of stretch out this point a little bit. So I'm gonna give that one a 1 out of 2. Just
mm-hmm.
because they had my favorites. I'm
Right.
trying, okay?
And then my last 2 points kind of clump together a little bit. So if you look at the screen, for those of you who didn't watch our playthrough, this is the one of the very first rooms, also called the Sacrificial Chamber, by the person who made the map. This is one of the very first rooms, and you'll notice that we're going to have to go through this wall of lava. And for one, it's not hinted at. It's not obvious. I mean, I noticed it by chance. Like, it just seemed like odd to me that was there, but it's not obvious enough. Like, if someone were to just walk right by that, it they wouldn't know what to do, because you need the cake, oddly enough. You need the cake that's in that room to put on the sacrificial table, right? And then that bugs me. It should be made more obvious than that. They should have made like a pathway leading to it or something, just something. And so I'm going to give that a 1 out of 10. Anyway, you'll notice that right there it's getting into the room is easy. Getting out of the room is impossible. You cannot get out of the room without dying. And the lava will destroy the cake that you're trying to get and completely defeat the purpose of going in there altogether, and then you cannot even progress to the next area because you do not have the cake. It's like a downward spiral of destruction and horribleness. It makes me upset, because that is a huge lack of foresight from the creator. He didn't realize that, he puts lava on the other side of the lava wall so that you don't burn going through, but then he doesn't put water on this side of the lava fall so you don't burn coming out.
Agreed.
And also, I believe, I'm not quite sure, you can double check the footage, or you can look at it right now, that there's a bit of a dip going from one side to the other, so that coming back, you would actually have to ride the waterfall up a good bit. But yeah, that is that point, and it's those 2 points above all. Well, maybe not above the redstone, where that room almost turned out to be a failure. Almost turned out to be a failure. The only way around that I can see is if it was since we did have 2 people, if you stayed on one side, it teleported me out. Right. And if teleportation is in and of itself in part of the map, that doesn't make sense to me. You shouldn't include teleporting in the map, in part of the puzzle. That doesn't make sense.
I don't think the teleportation would have been intended.
I don't know, I guess I just have to include for everything. But for that part, that's a -2. That was an unstoppable barrier to get through unless you spawned in another cake after you died.
Absolutely.
That's the only way to get by that.
Alright, and I think for my final point, I'm going to have to go with, we don't have any footage of this, and I wish we did, after investigating all the redstone and things like that, we turned the camera off, and we decided to explore more of this map, and we came across the congratulations area, and we came across a sign at the end, and I should have thought to record this, but it said something along the lines of, "Not satisfied with your prize, let's end the level with a boon." And there was this giant "thanks for playing" sign on the ground, and you flip the switch, and this is some of the most TNT go off I've ever seen in my life. This was spectacular.
Yeah. Well, we don't have footage of it, I'm sorry. It was kind of a spontaneous thing. We're like, oh, let's go see what's at the end, and like, oh, there's a lever, flip the lever.
Yeah.
And it was kind of epic. We're sorry you didn't get to see it.
The only shame of this was that you didn't get to actually blow up this steaming pile of crap of a level. So I'm gonna give that one a 1 out of 2 because the TNT should have been in the actual map itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna bring me to an overall score of 5 out of 10.
And it's gonna bring me to an overall score of 2 out of 10.
And that's gonna make the average score of this map a 3.5 out of 10. Oh my god.
3.5 out of 10.
Thank God it's over.
Oh, Lord. And we didn't even play the whole thing. That is the first Minecraft map that we ever each quit. And hopefully it will be the last. Do not make crappy videos, people. Not videos.
We're not exactly having a good track record, are we?
We're not. We had that one really great map.
Well, the footage will decide to go away before I can upload it. This is true. Then you figure our third map, we rage quit.
Our third map, we rage quit. We're not having a great track record, but it will improve, people. We promise.
Indeed.
Next map we do will be great.
Hopefully.
Well, the footage will be there at least, and we won't rage quit. Hopefully, it will be possible to complete, and great things will come of that.
Alright. So I think that about sums up the multiplayer version and highlight the multiplayer there so we don't get yelled at.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
official Sweater Dragon Industries rating, again, it's a 3.5. Do we suggest it? Not at all. It is
nope.
broken. Do not go there. Do not touch it. Do not download it. Do not even look at it. Leave it
I,
alone. Let it be.
there's the great possibility that even looking upon the file for the multiplayer will just turn your eyes into soup.
And creator King Lao 3, I believe his name is. If you're listening, fix this
Yeah.
nonsense that is this map that you have created. Now, it was probably, no offense, it was probably just an error from the copying, pasting, and all that jazz. We understand. Fix it. It's broken.
Oh man. So I think that just about concludes our Optimist and Critic review.
Indeed.
As always, I'm Xcavion.
And I'm Sweaterman.
And once again, people, 3.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching Sweater Dragon Industries as always.
See y'all later.
Later!